Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lady Geek Live. I am Meredith Loughran, and as live shows go, sometimes things change. Originally, I had a couple of guests lined up, and our schedules might have crossed, or maybe there was some communication. I'm not entirely sure, but originally, I was supposed to have dun dun dun, Robin Sidney and Cody Renee Cameron from Barbie and Kendra Save the Tiger King, which was released on Friday, May 15th. And we were scheduled to have them there, but things happen. So glad I had all my show notes and questions and things like that, but I have to go to Plan B. Thank goodness for notebooks and plenty of notes. They saved my life. Anyway, so this is probably going to be a very short show, and I left a really good conversation going on with the Comic Book Advocating Network. Rob has a great one on jealousy and success and things in the comic book world. And if you look behind me, it's still a work in progress, but I'm getting my studio set up. I have a new table behind me. As you can see, I've got a bunch of Brian K. Morris's books behind me. I've got Spencer Spook. I've got Evan Bond's book right there. I've got the Nightmare Collective, so I'm really happy with my setup and putting all my some of my sketchbooks and my other notebooks behind me. So this is going to be a lot of fun putting that together. And another reason why I did that was to I haven't branded myself yet, so I'm waiting for basically a little extra funds so that I can order some backdrops and things like that. So I can have things like the Comic Noob and the Morning Nosh, Wild One Forever, Lady Geek, and the things that I am actually creating myself, because I have a couple of books that I'm working on. They're in various stages of either editing or being published. So here we are. Plan B. Again, my guests unfortunately dropped out, and we're going to try and reschedule with them. But you know what I'm going to do, just for goodwill? I am actually going to play the trailer of their feature. Now, if you're not familiar with Full Moon Features, Charles Band, he's been doing kind of like B-rated movies for, I want to say almost 40 years. Probably over 40 years, yeah, since 1973. And he has kind of a cult following, which is crazy, and it's fun and it's campy and it's kooky and everything like that. So I'm going to play the trailer because I had that all prepped for our guests. So just bear with me as I play this for you.
There is coronavirus, and then there is Tiger King, and nothing else.
Isn't he like the hottest? Oh, he makes me want to purr. Meowie.
Is that Joe Exotic? That's Joe Exotic.
This is BPN, Big Pussy Network. Big Pussy all the time.
Hi there. You must be little Joe Exotic. You look like a boy who just loves the jungle.
Who the fuck is this close talker?
I'm sorry to report that the plane carrying young Joe Exotic has crashed into the Amazon.
Hey, monkeys! Where the fuck am I? I'm starting to get a serious case of swamp ass. Put me down! I know what you're up to. I've seen To Catch a Predator.
This child was sent from the great tiger god above. He is a sacred being, destined to be worshipped. He will reign a realm called Netflix.
Get down! My God, it's a piñata shaped like the coronavirus. These headhunters certainly have a sick sense of humor.
What does it feel like to go from being Tiger Tangler to like full-on celebrity?
It's pretty crazy, actually. I didn't expect none of this. I didn't think it'd ever be this big.
We are going to save the Tiger King!
Wasn't that fun? So yeah, they were going to be guests. I hope that I can reschedule with them because believe it or not, even with the crazy shutdown and the great pause that we're doing, they are still producing these what they've been called as the Corona exploitation movies, and a lot of fun. So I just wanted to give them a little shout out because things do happen, and a live show and everything like that. So onward to Plan B. Cody Renee Cameron and Robin Sidney. I hope that we get to sit down because it would have been kind of fun to have kind of an interview of the ladies who are acting, who are actually interviewing somebody else. And it's just this really strange, quirky dynamic, which would have been fun. But so Plan B, again, thank goodness for my notebook, where I was able to take notes and things like that. And I just want to touch on a lot of the stuff that is happening around Geek Insider, around some of the projects that I myself am doing, and Wild One Forever, which is the site's been around for a while, but we are dusting it off, we're cleaning it up, and really we have a vision for where we want it to go. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. But sorry, I had an itch on my nose here. So let me talk about Wild One Forever here. Let me just pull this card up here so you can see. This is a new site that I am working with. I am one of the executive editors on this site, and we have also launched a podcast with it. But Wild One Forever, if you look at it, it's grace, empowerment, empathy, knowledge, and strength. And it spells out geeks because it is birthed from the Geek Insider team, but it is really an independent entity all its own. It's a woman-centric site where we're sharing stories with an open and honest voice. We talk about tough subjects like depression, family dynamics, dysfunction, abuse, PTSD, all of those difficult conversations that often are helped with speaking about them. And we're kind of doing it in a safe environment. We're also doing fun things, though. We're doing things like reviews, and hopefully we'll have some quizzes up there and things like that to keep it interactive. But in the mornings, what I've launched is a show. It's called The Morning Nosh, and it's available on podbean.wildoneforever.com. And this is a Monday through Friday show. It airs at 8 a.m. in the morning, and it's a 15-minute or less show that has personal anecdotes, inspiration, observations that I have, kind of funny stories and things like that. And it's really to start your day on a positive note. And I've been asked, what the hell do you mean by nosh? What is a nosh? And if you look it up, to nosh is to eat enthusiastically. And for me, I wanted to do something that was a little bit different. I didn't want to do just, like the morning brew or the morning show, coffee with Meredith or anything like that. I wanted something that was a little bit different. So there you go, the Morning Nosh. And if you're familiar with the term, you are what you eat, it's one of those things where I would say, be careful of what you're ingesting. And it doesn't matter if it's food or what you watch or what you listen to. Whatever it is that you are ingesting or putting into your body, try to make it positive. It makes the day go by that much easier because we have so many things that bring us down. We have gravity. We're all fighting gravity. And if it's that one moment of time early on in the day that gives you kind of a positive note, if it makes you laugh, if it makes you think, but you're staying on the positive side of things, I think that's a great way to start your day. So the Morning Nosh is Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. It is going to be exclusively on Podbean. And I wanted to mention that because the first 5 episodes of the Morning Nosh are available for free, but starting tomorrow, Monday the 18th, it's going to be behind a paywall. And that sounds kind of crazy for a new podcast, but it's only $5 a month. So for a minimum of 20 episodes a month, not including May, obviously, because we started in the middle of the month, but starting in June, you're going to have a minimum of 20 episodes. And for $5 a month, that's a lot of content for very little. And we're using that not so much as a tip, but we wanted to make it affordable for everybody to tune in, because for some people, you pay that much for a cup of coffee. For us, as we kind of crowdfund it, it's going towards equipment, it's going towards production costs, it is going towards the cost of a server. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that, your website costs money. And so does getting on the pro podcast side of things, so those are things that are really, anything that generates is going towards the overhead of the show. And we have several, so it's not just Wild One Forever. We are also doing several podcasts through Geek Insider, and I wanted to shout them out as well. Let me see here. I'm just going through my notes again. This was supposed to be an interview show, and I had a whole lot of content and some questions that I wanted to ask, but we are going to reschedule that. At least I hope so, because it was fun. And I did actually watch Barbie and Kendra save the Tiger King. Can I tell you something? I have gone through this pandemic without seeing one episode of The Tiger King. I have no idea what the hell it's about. I do remember seeing this kooky guy in the news a while back, but that's it. So The Tiger King, no clue. This was my first introduction into it, and it was kind of wild and campy, and I'm like, what the hell was I watching? But that's going to be for another day. I don't know. I might refer back to it again, all in goodwill, because I don't like burning bridges and things like that. And like I said, it could have been a communications thing. They are on the West Coast after all. So Wild One Forever. I mentioned the Morning Nosh, and that is the morning Monday through Friday show. And we do have another portion of the site where it is dedicated to interviews. And the first one that we have up there is the interview that I did. Well, I don't want to say it was an interview. It was more like a conversation with Rob Anderson. And that was when he was trying to get over the finish line for his comic book, Cat Dad and Supermom, An Elephant Never Forgets. And we were talking about bullying and our own experiences with being bullied and how we've overcome and how it's kind of helped us in some crazy way to be the people that we are today. And I'm so happy to announce that he had reached his Kickstarter goal, and he broke the triple-digit backers goal, which was huge, because a lot of times an all-ages comic book will not do that. It just doesn't get the attention that some of these other sexy covers will do. So, I mean, he's won an award for it. We're advocating to get his book into schools and libraries and therapists, and it's just really wonderful. And I don't have enough good things to say about his book, but I want you to tune in to podcast.wildoneforever.com so that you can listen in. And that is the website for Wild One Forever. And we do have some new articles. And I want to highlight Brenda Holman. She's one of our contributors. We've got Irene P. Smith. If you were at the Geek Out Virtual Con, she was in the Author Alley with us. And, she's got some amazing stories and insights as well. The Morning Nosh you can find on Podbean, www.wildoneforever.com. And again, we have the 2 shows there. The next episode, I am actually reaching out to the people who wanted to participate in it. It's going to be very interesting, and I cannot wait to hear what people have to say about the term man up. I know that I've heard the term a few times, and people, man up, what the hell does that mean? And I've been told that. Do I look like a man to you? I don't think so. Although my husband has said that my balls clank. But hey, this is not a kid's show. What else did I want to mention? Oh, yes. Look at that. The Comic Noob. As if I didn't have enough on my plate. The Comic Noob is a new offering, and it is my adventures into the comic book world. And as a creator, this really appeals to me because it's something that I've always wanted to do. And it's something that I wrote on the Comic Book Advocates. I hope I got the right website. Yes, comicbookadvocates.com. I wrote up a small piece about it with the first episode of the Comic Noob. And I spoke about my experience with comic books very young. Now, when I was in middle school, Star Wars was the thing. Indiana Jones was the thing. And my friends and I, we were very geeky, and we were kind of like a group unto our own. We were our own clique because we didn't fit anywhere else. We were the odd ones. And we did create a comic book, and it was like a crossover between Star Wars and Indiana Jones, because we just loved playing with the idea that Harrison Ford was in there twice, and almost like meeting the twin that you didn't know you had. And it was really fun, and in my memory it was really good. I wish I had a copy of it. And we were so proud of it. We did the drawings. We drew it out. We scripted it, and we made copies, and we sent it off to George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, and immediately got a cease and desist. Talk about crushing an 11-year-old's soul. But so it wasn't just that, but years later, I was a huge Star Wars fan. And I started collecting the Star Wars comic books. It was the only one that I really collected. And I had spent years finding the comic books so that I had the entire collection. And I was almost there. And at that point, I was getting ready to go to college. All of it went into storage, all of it in boxes and up in the attic. And one day I came home from break, and the attic was cleared out. Mom had literally took all the boxes that were up there, threw it in the dumpster because she wanted to clean house. That was that. Soul crushed. Everything was gone. I got rid of everything. And then life happened. Life with kids, marriage, work, studying. I went back to school as an adult. And all of those things happened. And I was like, okay, I don't have time for this. There was a huge chunk of time where I didn't even have time to write or be creative or draw. I didn't want to do any of it. I just didn't have the time or the energy. And now that my kids are grown, I'm working from home. I have a very flexible schedule. All of a sudden, these opportunities are coming up. Rob Anderson approached me about joining the Comic Book Advocating Network. And, at that point I was just like, I've got no knowledge. I know shit about comic books, right? I know nothing really, except for Stan Lee. I know that name. And he was like, that's okay. You're an advocate. And I was like, I almost said no. Quite honestly, I was just like, I don't think I'm a good fit there. And then I thought about it. I had an overnight think. I got to chew on it a little bit. And I said, this is something that I've always wanted to do. I have my flash fiction stories that I've always imagined in my head. And I can imagine them on paper. I just don't know how to do it. I understand comics. I understand layout. I understand that there are all these parts and pieces. And I'm not going in here thinking I know everything, because I don't. I know crap. But I have my experience of doing other things. And if I can kind of adopt that knowledge and kind of use it towards creating a comic book, that's what the Comic Noob is about. It's about that experience and taking others along with me, because listen, I'm 48 right now, and you are never too old to learn something new. And that's the thing that excites me. You know, when I ask people, when's the last time you did something for the very first time? And this is what's exciting for me personally. Now, I don't like the learning curve. It's exhausting. It's exhausting because I am always learning something. So I'm constantly on some kind of learning curve, and it's very frustrating sometimes. But for me, again, you know, I used to be a singer. I was a soloist and things like that. And there were pieces that I fucking hated. I hated practicing them because they were so hard. But when you got it, when you understood it and you were able to tweak it and have those nuances and make it a song that was your own, then it was wonderful. All of that hard work was worth it. And that's what I see with this. So being that I'm working on my first comic book and I gave myself a year deadline to get it done, that means fleshing out, I mean, I have a story, but fleshing out a script, figuring out what I want for panels, finding those connections, like, because I can kind of draw, but I would never call myself an artist. I would never call, maybe I'm a doodler at best. But, you know, I can draw out a basic idea and try and structure that, and then hope that I meet up with an editor who can move me to the next step, hope that I can find somebody who can take my sketches or my stick figure drawings and flesh it out into something that's wonderful. And there are just so many things that I'm learning with that. So that is the Comic Noob. And I've got a comment in here. So hi, Paul. Hi, Brian. Thank you for stopping in and tuning in to Lady Geek Live. Do not be fooled by the title, Barbie and Kendra Save the Lion, or the Tiger King, the Lion King. Rawr. No, the Tiger King. It was one of those last minute things where they had to reschedule, and we didn't get our act together in time. So we're going to try and reschedule with them. So I have to change the title on that. Okay, so did I mention the Comic Book Advocating Network? I know that I did, but I don't know if I actually spoke on it. And I wish I could speak a little bit more intelligently about this, but all I can tell you is that I've either observed panels with these guys or sat in on panels with them, and we've had some wonderful discussions. And in this group, and I'll probably miss a few people, you know, miss a few mentions, but Rob Anderson, I think this is his child and a passion project for him, because he has been advocating for so long. And in the short time that I've known him, he's just been wonderful, and he has a very strong voice, and I appreciate that. You know, he's the type of guy who would tell me if I had a booger hanging out of my nose, and I wouldn't be embarrassed about it. I would thank him. So sorry, putting Booger and Rob Anderson together is probably rude, but to me, it's really a super compliment. Okay, I mean it with all my love, Rob. So Rob Anderson, this is his brainchild, and you know, he's all over the place. All you have to do is look at his graphics and his logos and things, and you would know that that is him behind it. So Written Sins Comics, he does the comics book advocate with an X. You know, Jax, Barbara Unleashed, Underground Devil. It's just, there's so many things that he's doing that I really don't know how he has the energy. We've also got Chuck Pinot, Randy Zimmerman, Varian Grant with Indie Volt TV, which is available on Roku. That's pretty cool. Luke Stone is part of the group. Brian K. Morris. I am still enjoying his big package. And my husband just gave me a look. We've also got Kevin Guillot of NSC Live TV. And of course, Geek Insiders is part of the group because we are all advocating for one another. And by using our networks, we're all helping each other grow. And that's the one thing. This was a great conversation that Rob had a while ago about indie, the extra I in indie. And it made me think, not that I'm rejecting the word independent, because that's who I am. I've always kind of gone along to the beat of my own drum, but I love collaborating with people. I also love being in the background. So doing this right now, this is not in my comfort zone. I cannot go for 2 hours like Brian K. Morris. I love him. I love tuning into him at 10 o'clock in the morning for Nevermind the Furthermore. He just brings sunshine to my day, and I enjoy having coffee with him in the morning and just listening in because he's just got this energy. And it hasn't been easy. It's not easy to do that. And it's not easy to sit here and monologue and talk about whatever it is. So, I can appreciate the hard work. I am better when I'm interviewing somebody because I have questions. This is my tagline, I guess. I have questions, and I love learning about them, their projects, and things. So when it's time to sit here and just talk, I'm not good at it. And I admit that. So this is definitely out of my comfort zone. My morning show, the Morning Nosh, is not in my comfort zone. I'm like, what the hell am I going to talk about? And why would you care? So, but hey, but if I keep it on a positive note, then it's all good, right? I don't know. I can only hope. But that's the direction that we're going in. And I'm okay with being in an uncomfortable position because that's where we grow. They say that when you cut yourself, when the scab comes, when the scab grows in, it's actually tougher skin. And I feel that's where I am right now, that I'm letting it all out there. I'm going, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Whether I do it well is one thing or another, but I'm trying, and I'm going to try all of these different things and see what takes and see where my joy brings me, because that is it's something that is important, because for the longest time, I was someone's wife, someone's mother, someone's caretaker. And I always felt like I was playing that role. But then I felt selfish about saying, what about me? When do I get to play me? And so I'm at that point right now where I have a wonderful husband who supports all of the endeavors that I'm doing. He loves that I'm creating things. He's always asking me what I'm writing, what I'm drawing, when my next show is. He's my biggest cheerleader, and I love him very much for that. You will never know that he is my rock, and I tease him all the time, but, because he makes me laugh, and I think that's so important. But Brian is asking, or Brian says, you are good at this. Is this where we talk about imposter syndrome? No, that is somebody else's show. And if I was paying attention, I would have written it down on a sticky note like this. But so, I have nothing but love for my husband, and he's the reason why, like Brian K. Morris in the morning, he has the hashtag bring Cookie home. And that's the one that I've adopted. I want to bring Pat home so that he doesn't have to go out there. If we can make a living doing the things that we love, then more power to us. And he's giving me heart hands right now. I do. I love that man so much. I've noticed since I was 15. So it's like more than about 3/4 of my life right now. gosh, I still like the man. I mean, you can love anybody, but you don't have to like him all the time. I actually like him too. What else? Oh my gosh, I've actually gone on for half an hour. Who knew? Who knew? Really, guys, if you knew me growing up, I was super shy, very awkward. I hated to talk to people. I love being around people because I am a lifelong observer of people. All right, I just noticed that my glasses are crooked. Why didn't anybody tell me my glasses were crooked? Maybe it's my nose or maybe it's my ears. They're lopsided, whatever. I have a misshapen head. It's all right. I accept that. Brian says, Monday on the OnCons page, we will discuss Impostor Syndrome. Hashtag bring Pat home. Yes, absolutely. That is my my dream. That's what I want to do. We don't have a lot. We don't need a lot. I don't need to win the lotto, and I don't need $1 million, and I don't need a Lambo in the driveway. I want my house. I want a good car. I want to make sure there's food in the fridge, and I want to live comfortably. But I don't need those excesses. I never did. In fact, the more I had, the more I would probably give. That's just the way I've always been. So Brian again says, I make antisocial behavior look sexy. What can I say? Well, you know what, Brian, all you have to do is send out a few more of those huge packages for everybody to fondle. Huh? Yeah. But what else did I want to discuss? That's really the end of my notes, guys. Half an hour. I made it. Yeah. On that note, guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I don't know that I'm going to put this on the replay. I don't usually like to do that unless there's value. And I'm not saying that I'm devaluing myself, but you know, when it's an interview and stuff, that's a little bit different. It's not just me spewing stuff. So maybe what I can do is take bits and pieces of this and put it out on the social media so that I look smart. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye until next week. Actually, until tomorrow morning, if you tune in to the Morning Nosh, again, starting tomorrow, it's behind a paywall. It is $5 a month for exclusive access to that morning show. We are going to have an interview set up really soon. It's going to be a roundtable panel about the term man up and how we feel about that. We are going to be setting up a lot of different interviews through Geek Insider and through Wild One Forever. And, you know, I wanted to do a shout out to Brian K. Morris because he is part of the Geek Insider network now. And Clever Title Pending is up on the podcast site. So that is podcast.geekinsider.com. He's also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Deezer, or wherever else you want to listen to your podcasts. Tune into that because he has interviews. And let's see, the one that we have posted right now was his interview with Starcross Comics, and he had Luke Stone. And I don't have my notes handy here, but it was a really good interview, and they were talking about faith, and that's not a comfortable subject for people to talk about. And I'm so glad that they did, because it we need to come out of the closet with that, if you will. Okay, I'm done. Now I'm rambling because I'm excited. Brian, you're welcome. I love you. And we will see you in the morning, never mind the furthermore, at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 Central. All right, you guys. I love you. I appreciate you. And I want to thank you for tuning in to Lady Geek Live. One of these days, I'm actually going to have a tagline that is that seems appropriate. I haven't figured it out yet. It's a lot easier to do it for other people. But when it comes to my stuff, I'm a work in progress. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to Lady Geek Live, a Geek Insider production powered by NSC Live TV. Become part of our show with sponsorship and advertising opportunities. For details, contact advertising@geekinsider.com or visit podcast.geekinsider.com. The Geek Insider podcast is available on your favorite app, so please hit the follow button and share it out to your friends. Because if you don't, you might have to turn in your geek card.